Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the stolen Bitcoin. Rumors are flying around though that now the US government could steal your Bitcoin because it has access to your private key information. And remember, anyone who has access to your private key could theoretically go into your wallet and steal all the Bitcoin out from there forever and ever. So I just wanted to make this video to clear up the confusion because there's a lot of it. So here's the headline that came out. Apparently, $2.3 million worth of stolen Bitcoin was recovered by the FBI because they had access to the private key. Now, this was actually money that was paid as a ransom by Colonial Pipeline to a group called the Darkside. So I quickly want to mention what this was not. No, Bitcoin was not hacked. No, the code is just fine. No, quantum computing didn't just break the blockchain. And no, the US government does not have access to your Bitcoin just yet. Let me just quickly go over exactly what's going on and tell you what actually happened. And let's start with talking about who is Colonial Pipeline and what is Darkside.
I'm your father.
So Darkside is what's known as a RAS, which is a ransomware as a service. And you can think of them as sort of like an agent that is working for hire, where you can call them up and present to them all of your illegal, sketchy ideas. Hey Darkside, I'd like to hire you guys to hack into this one company that I found. Sure, we get to keep 15%. What? That's it? I get to keep the rest? Yep, wow. For that reason, I'm in. So in this case, there's technically two parties that are involved. There's the affiliate and then there's Darkside. So Darkside is the developer or group of developers responsible for creating this malicious software. And for their services, they get to keep 15% of the cut. And then there's the affiliate, which is the person or the group of people doing the hiring who will then inject this malicious software into the company and they get to keep 85% of whatever they're able to extort. And for a limited time only, if you sign up using my link down below at darkside/AJ. No, I'm just kidding. Jokes aside, Darkside is a criminal organization that uses its powers to infiltrate vulnerable companies. Now, Darkside is most likely run by a group of Russian operatives, which means once again, it's about time to be Russian. It was bad last year, and it's even worse this year. But one of the most important things that you have to understand about Darkside is that they also have an ethics code about how they operate. And this is a direct quote from them. We are apolitical. We do not participate in geopolitics, do not tie us with a defined government and look for other motives. Our goal is to make money and not create problems for society. And so they actually avoid targeting things like education, funeral services, nonprofits, which is kind of interesting that they have a moral and ethical guideline about who they steal from. But that brings us to Colonial Pipeline. What is it and why is that important? Colonial Pipeline is a company that made $421 million last year in 2020. Their whole thing is that they transport gasoline and jet fuel across the country. And on May 7th, they received a ransom note telling them that they had to pay 75 Bitcoins. So that night, the CEO had to make a choice. Either pay the ransom of 75 Bitcoin or face way worse consequences. So of course, they made the obvious decision of paying them 75 Bitcoin worth over $4 million at that time. But the attack itself was more than likely a simple phishing email that they sent to somebody in accounting disguised as an upgrade your software for security reasons, and that's what ended up happening. But it was the company's decision to then shut down over 5,000 miles worth of pipeline, which is because they were afraid of how much their security was compromised, so they didn't want to take on any risk, and that's why the attack seemed much, much worse than it actually was. It was just the company taking precautions, but it was also the reason why, if you live in the East Coast, you might have noticed that in the last few weeks, the price of gas went way up. And that's because Colonial Pipeline supplies something like 45% of the gasoline to the East Coast. But here's where the confusion with Bitcoin comes in. The FBI stepped in, and then they were able to follow all the transfers of Bitcoin until they tracked down a specific wallet address. And then they put out a public statement, and here's directly what they said. This is on their website. Law enforcement was able to track multiple transfers of Bitcoin and identify that approximately 63.7 Bitcoins representing the proceeds of the victim's ransom payment had been transferred to a specific address for which the FBI has the quote-unquote private key, or the rough equivalent of a password needed to access assets accessible from the specific Bitcoin address. That's where the confusion comes in from this article, because you can see how anyone can take this story and spin it to seem as though Bitcoin was hacked. Because how could that be possible? Isn't Bitcoin supposed to be irreversible, immutable? Shouldn't the government not be able to seize it? This is the end of Bitcoin. Here's the truth. After the affiliate received the hacking software, which remember is probably a simple phishing attack, they were able to demand the ransom. After being paid the ransom, they were then able to pay Darkside and then transfer that money somewhere else. Now, where somewhere else is not told to us by the FBI because the FBI doesn't want us to know how they got access to the private key information. But no, the government doesn't have some automagic software to steal your Bitcoins and hack into blockchain. That's not how it works. More than likely, the affiliate, which remember, did not create the software themselves, which means they're probably not the most technically savvy people, transferred that ransomed Bitcoin to somewhere that was compromised and was able to be traced by the FBI like a hot wallet. Remember, a hot wallet is sort of like an online database which can be accessed and intercepted. Think of it like this. You hire a brilliant team to come up with a plan to steal millions of dollars from a casino, which your plan goes perfectly to a T, and then you have a brain fart and then you deposit that cash into a federal bank. That's sort of the analogy of what ended up happening here, because the affiliate in this case, which remember is not the most technically savvy person, could have just as easily transferred this money to an online wallet or a brokerage like a Gemini, a BlockFi, a Kraken, Coinbase, whatever it might have been, which is where the FBI could have seized those assets, assuming that corporation decided to cooperate. Now, if it wasn't sent to an online brokerage, if it was sent pretty much anywhere on the internet, the FBI could technically have access to that information where they saw the private key. Or again, it could have been just as simple as they sent it to Coinbase. Now, after all this happened, Darkside put out a statement saying that they were closing their services and shutting down their affiliate program because of pressure from the US government. What pressure means is anybody's guess, but either way, that 15% that they were paid as a commission for creating the malicious software in the first place was money that was never recovered, so technically they got to keep their Bitcoin. So here's my overall personal thoughts on the whole situation. Sometimes we give way too much intellectual credit to people that are criminals because we think to ourselves, well, there's no way they would make such an amateur mistake if they got this far, right? Clearly, this is a conspiracy to undermine Bitcoin. And I think the explanation is way simpler than that. The explanation is that people just misunderstood that Darkside, who's a group of very sophisticated developers, is very different from the affiliate group who hired them in the first place, who may not be as sophisticated and could make the mistake. Because remember, all it takes is one slip up where you transfer it to a wallet that's being tracked by the FBI, and that's what's enough to uncover the web of Bitcoin transfers. And the other truth is that the government is just becoming much more efficient at tracking Bitcoin transactions. It's becoming more efficient at following the money online. That's all it is. And this is a good thing. This is what makes blockchain awesome because it's transparent and pseudo-anonymous. And even though Darkside did say they were shutting their services down because they want to lay low from the government, the truth is they'll probably make a comeback in a different iteration with a different name at some point in the future. And I don't think that's a reason to be concerned or worried, because the truth is these types of organizations don't really target individuals. Instead, they focus on corporations with billions of dollars because they know that the cost of paying a few $1,000,000 in ransom is nothing in comparison to what's at stake. That's who they really focus on. They don't really waste their time on ordinary people like us. But if you do happen to work for a corporation and you randomly get an email that says, in light of recent events, due to the Colonial Pipeline situation, we'd like for you to urgently click this link so you can update your software for security reasons, there's a solid chance that that could be the next phishing attack. So be careful opening up that link and clicking on it. Forward it to your higher ups just to double check, because you never know. And if you're really concerned about your cryptocurrency, then one thing has always been true: just keep that crypto on a cold storage wallet. I made a video about that. You won't earn interest on that money like you would if you would go to blockfi.com/Andrei, where you can get up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin. Smooth, but it's still one of the safest places, if not actually the safest place you can keep your Bitcoin. As always, don't forget to grab up to 2 free stocks with Webull using the link down below. Once you get the 2 free stocks, go track them automatically with a spreadsheet link down below. Love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you back here on Monday and Friday, sometimes a Wednesday. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to the Millennial Money Podcast, where I post on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific with my friends Graham, Jeremy, and Kevin. Love you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.